Good evening, I'm Jason Vio. Katarina is away tonight. This is CBC Windsor News. Thank you so much for watching. We begin tonight with official word that Ontario is going to the polls this winter, with Premier Doug Ford announcing today that the province will vote on February 27th. And as Lane Harrison reports, he's already in campaign mode.
After weeks of speculation, we finally got Premier Doug Ford to say it himself today.
Myself and many of my colleagues have it on good authority as of yesterday that you will be calling an election next Wednesday. I was hoping you could send us into the weekend with a little bit of certainty and tell us once and for all, will you be calling an election next Wednesday?
We will be calling the election next Wednesday. I'll be seeing the Lieutenant Governor on Tuesday. We need a mandate from the people to fight against Donald Trump's tariffs.
The confirmation made at a packed Brampton City Hall, where an announcement about plans to tunnel the Hazel-McCallion LRT through Brampton became an unofficial campaign launch, and the Premier was already on the attack.
Imagine Bonnie Crombie or Merritt Stiles sitting across from President Trump negotiating a deal. It would be an absolute disaster.
The Premier was also shaking hands in Bolton today. Behind the scenes, his party is still working to prepare a full slate of candidates, as the early election call has all parties rushing to prepare. Of the 124 seats in the legislature, the PCs have nominated 88 candidates, the NDP 36, the Liberals 66, and the Greens 61. The opposition parties are not happy about heading to the polls.
Doug Ford has a majority government and he should govern. He has a mandate by the people until June 2026. It's also very expensive. It'll cost voters $175 million.
I know that Doug Ford wants to escape his record. He's hoping people will be distracted and won't be paying attention to his track record here in the province of Ontario, and I don't think he can escape it. As I said already, I mean, people are having a really difficult time here in the province of Ontario.
When Ford goes to call the election next Wednesday, he will be kicking off a 28-day campaign cycle, sending Ontario into a rare province-wide winter election. Voters will get to head to the polls to decide if they want to hand the Premier the stronger mandate he desires on February 27th. Lane Harrison, CBC News, Toronto.
And now that it's been confirmed, we hit the streets here in Windsor to find out what voters think of an upcoming winter provincial election.
I don't agree with an early election call. I feel like right now a lot of the students here aren't even knowing a lot about the election and involved unless you're in political. But I feel like an early election call is rushing it. I feel like we need more to learn about the candidates and everyone to vote for.
I am actually quite interested because I didn't vote the last provincial election. I just wasn't around for it. Kind of forgot about it. So I'm kind of excited to cast my vote for the next one.
I think it's a little bit opportunistic, just considering, he already kind of has that majority mandate. However, I don't really blame the guy because, like right now, the Liberals and the NDP and the polling, they're not doing super hot right now, so I can't really fault him for that. I mean, we kind of already see him previously kind of doing a lot of like election campaigning, and there's undeniably that there has been a little bit of a campaign going on for the last couple months.
I think that it is entirely necessary with all the crazy stuff that's going on in the United States. I mean, Trump, just all the tariffs and everything like that. I really think it's necessary for Doug to have an election now.
So it's not too early in your opinion? It's the right time?
I think it's too early for what we have going on here, but at the end of the day, with all this stuff that's going on in the United States, we need to have something going on sooner rather than later.
Millions in new provincial money means this region could get more than 3,000 new housing units, the CBC's Chris Ensing reports.
Ontario's getting Windsor nearly $20 million to build up road and sewer capacity in the East End. The city pairs that with $24 million earmarked for the area. The announcement, coming ahead of an early provincial election call, promises to help create thousands of housing units.
Possibility of 3,030 new units in the city of Windsor is absolutely dramatic, and it's remarkable.
I can't imagine what it's like to be a young person today who's trying to make a world of their own happen, one that's unique to their identity. They have no options in front of them right now. That can't stand. We need to take action as a government, and that's what investments like these will do.
This money will see McNorton Road widened at Banwell, which is also going to see changes. That's going to help ease the current traffic in the area and prepare for apartment buildings on the way.
Partly related to that, but also partly related to the opening of Nexstar.
This money will help widen Banwell south of EC Row, where the city will need to expropriate land. This money helps pay for that, and the widening should help ease traffic there. Today's announcement also covers the extension of Wyandotte to Jarvis. Homeowners have asked for a fix for decades. This was not the one they wanted.
So we're not only is the street already in poor condition, we're going to have to deal with additional traffic. It's going to bring a lot of traffic to the neighborhood. That quiet, quaint neighborhood is going to totally be destroyed.
Change is hard for people. I get it. And we're trying to be as sensitive as possible with that change, trying to look at different areas that make sense. And do we always get it right? Probably not, but we sure try our hardest, and I know everyone around the table really has the residents' best interest in mind as they try and balance the priorities that we find ourselves in.
Dowie and Dilkins both say the project builds on the city's work of approving housing units after beating the city's provincial housing target of about 1,000 homes. Chris Hensing, CBC News, Windsor.
Time now for a quick peek at weather. Colette Kennedy joins us live for that. Colette, whew, we did it. It's Friday. What do you have in store for us?
Yes, we've made it to the weekend, right? And there's a few bright spots with the weather, too, as we head into this weekend. You know, hour after hour of light snow or flurries today. And what did it amount to? Really not much, you know, and things are kind of winding down as we go into the evening hours here. It was certainly on the cool side through the day. Temperatures even more than, 5 degrees below seasonal. So we do have some milder air coming. Clearly, it's not coming tonight. Got to hold on a little bit. Minus 11 with partly cloudy skies. The winds not as strong as they're going to be as we get into tomorrow. We're going to have some breezy conditions, but it pushes our temperature up to -1. But because of those winds, it's still going to feel like -7 tomorrow, again with some flurries. I'll have the whole weekend forecast coming up.
All right, we're looking forward to it. Thanks, Colette.
You're welcome.
Border mayors across Canada are joining forces to fight tariffs threatened by Donald Trump. They've launched the Border Mayors Alliance, with Mayor Drew Dilkins chairing the newly formed group. In an interview with CBC News, Dilkins said things would not be pretty if a 25% tariff is imposed and that the stakes are high.
They are extremely consequential. And so I like to use the example in my city, and there are many across the country, but in the auto sector and the auto industry here, there is really no car that is built in Windsor, which is the auto capital of Canada, or in the Motor City, Detroit, across the river. No car is purely built in one city. We really are a product and a supply chain that is tightly integrated. So the average part that goes into a vehicle, whether it rolls off the assembly line in Detroit or in Windsor, has crossed the border for continuous improvement on average 7 times. And that speaks to the regional relationship that we've developed between Windsor and Detroit in our area, but those regional relationships exist across our country. And so the Border Mayors Alliance is about bringing mayors together to be able to link arms and say, hey, we're unified. We know there's some disruption and distraction at the federal level. We know the Premier of Ontario is working diligently to get the premiers on the same page. Make no mistake, the border mayors are absolutely aligned, wanting to link arms to find a solution here and make sure that we're expressing the concerns for our communities, but also making sure we can be part of the solution, linking arms with mayors across the border in the United States who have a shared interest in this. At the end of the day, this is a trade war. If this happens, it'll be a trade war, and there will be casualties on all sides, and that's the last thing we want to see.
And Dilkins says the group's goal is to leverage cross-border relationships that already exist and speak in a unified voice. Well, overcrowded hospitals are allowed to move people to long-term care homes they do not choose, or if they don't go, they'll charge them $400 a day. And that law was at the center of a court case, with some saying it violated people's rights and freedoms. Now, an Ontario judge has thrown out that case. The CBC's Jennifer LaGrassa explains.
An Ontario court has thrown out a charter challenge against a controversial long-term care law. That law is called the More Beds, Better Care Act, and it allows hospitals to move people into nursing homes they didn't choose. If the person refuses and stays in hospital, they can be charged $400 a day. The province says this law is necessary to free up hospital beds. The Ontario Health Coalition and Advocacy Centre for the Elderly launched this challenge. They argued that it violates the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, but the justice in the case disagreed and ruled the $400 charge is not coercive.
We have a lot of people who phone and they're in distress and they're in the hospital and they're sending in 5 people, patient flow manager and a social worker and administrator and this and that to try and pressure the patient or their loved one to move them out anywhere, just anywhere, get them out of the hospital bed. And it is awful.
We've spoken to families in the Windsor region who have been hit with big charges under this law. One of them is Michelle Campo from Tecumseh. Her mom has dementia. Last spring, she was charged $26,000 for refusing to move out of hospital and into a long-term care home that she didn't want. Hearing the case is dismissed was upsetting for Campo.
I'm not surprised, but it's disgusting. It does violate their choice. Basically, they're telling you, you take what we give you if it's not your choice, or we're going to charge you this extraordinary amount of money.
Campo says she still hasn't paid that bill and doesn't plan to. Windsor-Tecumseh Conservative MPP Andrew Dowie was asked about this at an unrelated news conference.
Bill 7 is not something that anybody wants, and at a point in time when the capacity is built up in long-term care homes, we won't need legislation like Bill 7 because we will have sufficient supply of long-term care homes. If someone has been discharged from the hospital, you're not going to get care in the hospital that you need, and you're actually going to taking care away from someone who does need it with the resources in the hospital.
The groups that filed the challenge say that they are reviewing the decision to figure out whether they can appeal it. Jennifer LaGrassa, CBC News, Windsor.
New research shows that getting stronger and healthier before surgery can benefit both patients and the healthcare system. CBC's Mike Crawley explains.
Okay, let's do 2 more.
It might look like the kind of physical rehab that's done after surgery.
Squeeze the shoulder blades back here.
But this is actually prehab, happening before Paul Kennedy's open heart surgery next month.
The walking was the first thing. Then there were stretching exercises for upper body.
Feel the muscles in the hips.
The former CBC radio host has been doing prehab exercises for several months.
My endurance is infinitely better than it was. Everything's better. I'm in better shape for the operation.
We're going to push forward. Perfect. And we'll do that 5 times as well.
The idea is patients need to get physically prepared for surgery like it's a long-distance run.
So having surgery is stressful on your body, and I don't know anybody who'd decide to go out next weekend, run a half marathon without doing any prep.
Dr. Dan McIsaac's research reveals some fresh data of how prehab regimes benefit surgical patients.
If they exercise more before surgery, they can have a massive reduction in the likelihood they're going to have a complication like a heart attack or pneumonia after surgery.
The study of more than 15,000 Canadians finds a 40 to 50% reduction in surgical complications and on average 1 fewer day spent recovering in hospital. Trends that are good not just for patients, but also for the health system.
$1 in the investment in the prehab might actually end up with a greater amount of saving at the end.
The number of Canadian hospitals making prehab available to surgical patients is growing.
We're trying to target those who are most likely to benefit, and those tend to be those who are frail or have a complex surgery with a high risk of complication.
The next step in research, figuring out which prehab programs bring the greatest benefit. Mike Crawley, CBC News, Toronto.
Many of you likely know that the Hawaiian pizza is a Canadian creation. In fact, first served up at a restaurant in Chatham. But the pineapple on pizza debate is heating up again thanks to a UK pizzeria with very strong feelings on the matter. They're charging the equivalent of $180 for the Hawaiian pizza in a bid to dissuade customers from ordering the contentious topping. The pizzeria added the pricey pie to their delivery app with a dash of snark, writing in the description, "Yeah, for £100 you can have it. Order the champagne too. Go on, you monster." The ham and pineapple topped pizza has long been the source of fierce online debates, with pizza purists and pineapple lovers clashing over the legitimacy of the tropical fruit as a topping. And coming up Monday on Windsor Morning, host Amy Dodge heads to the University of Windsor to meet students who are sifting through racks of used clothing. No, not out of necessity, but by choice. and it's a popular trend. That's coming up Monday on Windsor Morning. And still to come here on CBC News, we'll have new videos showing you some moments near a dramatic gun battle in Toronto. That story is coming up next. Police in Toronto have made additional arrests in connection with a shocking gun battle back in November. With the new arrests, police have released more video highlighting the casual and flagrant display of the illegal weapons used in that gunfight. Thomas Degla reports.
Taking cover behind a door, a gunman opens fire toward a Toronto sidewalk. Part of a brazen shootout in public last November, now leading to 14 more arrests.
It is nothing short of a miracle that no one was injured or killed.
Investigators releasing new video from a music studio hosting a birthday party right before that gunfight. One suspect is seen with what look like 2 assault-style rifles in his lap. Another handling the type of high-capacity magazine that's banned in Canada.
They don't have a care in the world. It's like they don't expect that they're going to get caught with this.
CBC News was the first to obtain and broadcast this video with alleged gang members waving guns in the air, the youngest only 16 years old.
Police suspect a rival gang spotted that video on social media, then drove here armed with handguns and opened fire at that recording studio up on the second floor. The ensuing shootout leaving bullet holes all over, even through the windshield of this unmarked police car.
This is happening across the city, right? There are people that are getting together that have guns, that everyone's showing up practically with a gun.
Officers swarmed the area that night with 17 suspects charged so far, about half arrested while out on bail. This man spotted stashing a weapon under the couch. In all, police seized 16 illegal guns that they say were smuggled from the U.S. And these suspects, each facing firearms charges, are still wanted.
Gun violence has, been going up. There's more guns that are coming over across the border. It's definitely something that needs to be addressed.
In a city suffering through what police call escalating gun crime, this may just be a glimpse of the crisis. Thomas Daigle, CBC News, Toronto.
And turning now to the Middle East, the Gaza ceasefire continues to hold despite several incidents of violence. Thousands of people are returning to the territory today, and those who have arrived home are picking through the ruins looking for traces of missing family. And a caution, some viewers may find the images in this story disturbing. The CBC's Chris Brown reports.
Amid Gaza's hellscape and with the ceasefire quieting Israeli bombs, Ashraf Zakut and his daughter Islam have returned to what used to be their home in Rafah, searching for the body of Mahmoud, his son, her brother. He refused to displace, she said. He insisted on staying here. He said, "This is my place, my country, and I won't leave it." Heavy equipment to move the immense debris is scarce, so it's slow progress. Friends said it was 6 months ago that Mahmoud, an engineering student, was in the family's house as Israel attacked the neighborhood. Of course, I'm upset and very sad, but we hope to find him so we can bury him and he can rest, said his father. He was studying for his master's and wanted to continue to do a PhD, said Islam. He had goals and dreams, but the war started and stopped everything. As many as 10,000 bodies may be under the rubble. Gaza's death toll is already 47,000 and counting. Nearby, another family with another desperate search discovers the worst. Human remains of a missing relative, the ID in his clothes confirming his identity. As those in Gaza conduct painful searches, with the ceasefire, Israelis are coming to observe the impact of 15 months of war on the territory next door. This is Sderot, where Hamas gunmen killed dozens on October the 7th. This lookout peers right out over northern Gaza, and it gives Israelis a clear view of the vast destruction. Yisrael Simchan told us once the remaining hostages are returned, he wants the war to resume.
We're not finished the job yet.
And to finish the job means more
destroy all the buildings of the terrorists.
There's not much left to be destroyed. The search for Mahmoud's body turns up nothing, but they'll keep looking. He was Zakwat's second son to be killed in the war, but in that case, his family had a body to bury and a place to grieve. Chris Brown, CBC News.
Colette Kennedy joins us now for an extensive look at her weather forecast. Colette, I took a little break outside today, went for a walk, and the weather is a bit more tolerable. It's not like my face didn't feel frozen. And when I was walking, I noticed the snow was a little less crunchy, a little more slushy, but I'd still noticed some slippery spots under that snow, so you still have to be careful.
Yes, I'm a testament to that you do have to be careful. There are some slick spots that you could fall and hurt yourself, of course. And yeah, I mean, we get a kind of difference in the moisture content of the air when we had that. I know it's not exactly balmy and we've got a cold night ahead, but when we had that really cold push of Arctic air, very, very dry, and the snow tends to be, or flurries tend to be very dry as well. And now we're getting a little bit more moisture content there. Our current temperatures, well, we're almost at -10, not quite. Let's not put us there if we don't have to. The wind chill will take care of that, feeling like -16. That gets us into the minus double digits. At Chatham-Kent, -15, Sarnia, -12. And those winds, I want to talk about these because over the next few days, we are going to be dealing with breezy conditions ahead of another system as it's coming in. We get that flow from the south to southwest, and then behind these systems, then it's a stronger pull from the northwest and some of the cooler conditions. So just looking ahead through time, as we get into Saturday, these are some of the gusts we're looking at, not only over 40, but there could be from time to time, especially closer to the lakeshore there of Lake Erie, which by the way is about 85% frozen over now. A little closer, you could see those more significant or stronger gusts. Otherwise, we'll keep it more in that kind of 40, 45 kilometer range. Now, we had the flurries, or kind of light snow, sort of off and on that we've been dealing with. Our dew points there are still around -12. It's going to allow the temperature to fall off tonight. And then this is going to be the next system that's moving in. It kind of reaches us into tomorrow. And as it comes through, we get just mostly what is going to be a dusting. So some bursts of flurries at times. And if you're doing any traveling in the province, yes, we're going to have to deal, or they're going to have to deal in the lee of Lake Huron with more lake effect snow. There's kind of the main component going through. And then into Sunday, we're drier. And I've even, at least in the afternoon, I'm hoping to get us into kind of a mix of sun and cloud. It should be more cloud cover early. But see the amounts here for southwestern Ontario, 1 centimeter to 2 centimeters. And that's between what's happening not only Saturday but Sunday as well. A cold one tonight, feeling like -18, but tomorrow -1, -2 on Sunday, and with any luck, a little above freezing on Monday.
All right, thanks so much, Colette. Have a great weekend.
You too.
And thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you back here on Monday.
Good night.